Hey, what's up everybody? Monday, October 7th, I just sent out the new edition of MMT Trader, the only applied approach to MMT that exists anywhere. Haven't said that in a while. I thought I'd throw that in there, and it is absolutely true. All right, so as I've been saying, the Fed, well, let's backtrack. Friday, of course, another surprise coming out of left field by the Fed saying, hey, that, they're going to extend these repo operations until November 4th. They're going to add 8 more 14-day term repos at a minimum of $35 billion each. I did a kind of a back of the envelope calculation on Friday, and it's in my report today. We're probably looking at a 300 billion reserve increase by November 4th. That's big, okay? We're basically going to go from 1.4 trillion to 1.7 trillion. That's a lot for the markets to digest. I mean, I've been using this analogy of swallowing the whole Thanksgiving dinner in one swallow. I mean, that is a lot for the market to digest, and therefore I am not surprised. Look at today, we're down. All right, we're going to be down. It's going to be struggling. You might have a couple of up days, but essentially this is a very significant impediment for the market, this dumping of reserves into the banking system. Remember, banks have to adjust. You got 17.5 trillion in assets. You dump in another 300 billion. The banks have to adjust. That is a function of the regulatory nature of the banking system. Supplemental leverage ratios. I mean, I've been all through that. If you want to learn about that, if you want to understand more about that, then come over, become a subscriber to MMT Trader. Hey, look, a lot of people have been with me now for a long time, and they have learned a lot. And let me segue, let me use that as a segue right now. Folks, hate to say this, but it is very, very obvious. I have seen this in practice. I have seen people behave in this fashion. 99.9% of people on this planet. The problem is that when they are faced with disappointment, when they are faced with frustration, when they are faced with discomfort, when they're faced with losses, let's talk about it in the context of what we do, which is trading and investing. When they are faced with losses, or let's say when they are faced with outcomes that are not aligned with what they are seeking, they become disheartened, they become frustrated, they become disappointed, they become depressed, whatever, and they focus in, as a result of that, they focus in on the negative aspects, maybe the negative feelings. They really kind of, just linger on those negative feelings, as opposed to trying to understand that was part of the process, the experience that was gained from that, the knowledge that was gained from that. All right, it's human nature to focus in on, to make things worse than what they really are. I mean, how many times, I talk to people about the use of language. The market is tanking, I'm getting killed, I'm getting crushed. All these metaphors which are totally inapplicable. I mean, you're not dying, you're not getting crushed, you're not getting killed. But unfortunately, that tends to be human nature for most people, is that they exaggerate, they over embellish the experience, and they linger on the negative. All right? And that is doing such a tremendous disservice to themselves, rather than focus on the experience that they have gained, on the resilience, on that kind of the mental toughness that they have built up as a result. They focus on the negative. And then what happens is over time that repeated process causes them to lose enthusiasm, to lose interest, and they end up giving up and quitting again because they have not focused on what the real benefit of all that was the experience gained, the mental toughness, the resilience, and all those things are those are the traits that are going to take you to where you want to go, which is ultimately the success in this, field, trading and investing. So they quit and they move on, and some people are honest about it. They said, I just can't handle the pain, I can't handle the frustration, and they basically give up and say, I don't want to try to, work on myself to be able to handle that. Or they say something which is a cop-out and it's a phony, excuse like, hey, man, I'm not trading anymore. I'm going to be focusing in on my other activity, right? I mean, they came in with all this enthusiasm. I mean, you can see it. It's so obvious. Come on, it's so obvious. I mean, because they come in with all this enthusiasm and all this excitement, and then, hey, it's the MMT aspect, and oh man, MMT, I heard about it, and this is so cool, and I really understand it, and it's so fantastic now that I have the correct understanding when 99.9% of the other people out there, they're operating in the wrong paradigm and the wrong understanding, and I know it, and then they start, and it starts to work, and this is great, and then boom, frustration hits, and some disappointment, and it doesn't go their way. And right away, they start to focus in on the negative. It's not working. I hate this feeling. I'm losing. And then, they lose enthusiasm when in actuality, what's happening? What's happening is a great, fantastic thing. They're being forged in fire. They're getting tougher. They're getting that mental toughness. They're building the resilience. They're gaining experience and skill, but they don't look at that. They look at how terrible things are and how negative things are, and then it's like, I'm not really trading. I'm going to focus in on my other thing. They wanted to come into this activity and be successful. It's so obvious that that's what they wanted, but then, boom, what happens? They sat, and sadly, this defines, most people. Sadly, this is the path, and this is the ultimate outcome. This is what happens. This is why they never achieve what they want to achieve. Because everybody thinks there's some kind of a shortcut, and they're not going to face the hardship and the discomfort and the stress. And they don't know how to deal with that. You have to be able, everything is two-sided. I mean, you could focus in on the negative all the time and completely ignore and leave out the fact that you've gained all this experience and you've toughened yourself up. And the irony is, or the really sad part is, right when they are there, right when they have the skills and the knowledge and the experience, that's most often the time when they quit, when they walk away. When they say, I'm not really trading anymore, when they've lost their enthusiasm and they've lost that spirit to move on, and they've accumulated all this experience and all this knowledge and understanding, and they move on at the worst possible time. Look, I wish I could say there was a shortcut to all this. I really wish I could say, hey, I found it, everybody. I found the shortcut, and here it is. And all you have to do is that, all this stuff, even, I have to tell you, even forecasting the market, the relevance of that is very, very low in the scheme of things. That's why I've always said, every system works. Now, you can do a very basic system of following moving averages, but most people would not be able to do that for the same exact reason. They're going to experience a string of losses. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to focus on the negative. They're not going to be able to take anything from the positive experience of having gone through that, and they're going to walk away from it. I've been doing this a long time. Believe me. And it wasn't until I mastered the mental part and the understanding of that's what it's all about. Now, having the economic understanding, and we're not going to be right all the time. I'm not going to be right all the time in the economic understanding, but that doesn't matter. We can manage. If you can manage yourself, your behavior, your mind, your emotions, you can manage any position. I mean, when I was doing my Forex course, I used to tell people, give me any trade, totally unplanned. Think of the worst trade you could possibly give me, and I would trade out of it at a profit every single time. It's on my courses. Anyway, that's what it's all about. I wish I could tell you there was a shortcut. I wish I could tell you there was a magical system. But the irony is there is a shortcut and a magical system. It's just knowing that you got to go through, these uncomfortable times. But the way to process that, the way to deal with that is to understand that there's a positive side to all those things. And when you understand that, you're on the path, man. You're on the path to making it happen. You just can't quit. And you have to understand what the whole process is all about. Go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader. Bye.